And then I think I might even said it to Ryan. I'm like, I don't know if I'm getting altitude sickness or what. I think that's the first time I ever openly expressed it. But I was like, I'm struggling to breathe on an 18-minute mile on a gradual descent. Like that doesn't happen to me.
Running 100 miles seems impossible, and maybe even kind of crazy. And it is, but we believe in big crazy dreams. That's why we ran 100 miles. It was such a life-changing experience for us, we decided to devote this podcast to preparing and inspiring you to run your first ultra race.
Are you ready to feel the highest highs and the lowest lows? Are you ready to do what you once thought was impossible? Are you ready for your trail to 100?
Welcome back to...
Back?
It's like our 100th something episode. What?
They just tuned in.
Well, can I be like, welcome back? Like they listened to our last podcast, right?
Okay.
Jeez, it's the first time Jacob lets me lead in, and you're just giving me a hard time.
We're not editing this, by the way.
Okay,
typical male.
Well, I know, right? That's what I'm saying. Okay, I can start all over. Welcome to Trail to 100. Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay, welcome to Trail to 100. I am Melody Bateman, and joined along with me is my wonderful, handsome husband, Jacob Bateman.
Hi, guys.
See, that part's awkward. I never know what to say.
I've never actually heard such an awkward silence at the beginning of a podcast.
Sorry. Anyway, okay. Also joined with us, we have two special guests. They are both returning guests. We have my father, Marc Callister, and we also have our friend, Ryan Head. Dad, do you want to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you?
Sure. Well, like Melody said, I'm Marc Callister. I'm Melody's dad, Jacob's son-in-law. They kind of got me into this game probably 6 years ago. I've been trail running and had the opportunity to do some pacing in this last race in the Wyoming Range, which we're excited to talk about. But finished my first 100-mile race last year and looking forward to what's next. So I just love getting out there on the trails and love being on the podcast again. It's great to be back.
Heck yeah. Ryan, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Ryan Head. I've been on your show a few times, so just no surprise.
Ryan's really excited that he is. Is this your sixth? Yes.
Sure. Anyways,
two hands. You have to use two hands.
Yeah.
Let's go. I've been on a few times, so history is well documented. Just excited to be here to talk about Jacob's race. It was a great experience. I think it was fun to see him go through all that fun stuff, and I know we'll talk through that today. So, been running from Utah, and been running out here in the Utah area. I've done quite a few races out here, and just a good friend of all of you. So excited to be here and talk about this experience.
Heck yeah. Ryan is basically part of our trail running family at this point. So anyways, excited to have you guys here. Excited to recap Jacob's race. So let's just start from the beginning. Jacob, how was the Wyoming Range 100?
Oh, that is a loaded question.
Yeah. Just start from the beginning.
But from the beginning, well, first off, just so the listeners know the reason why Ryan and Marc, if it's not clear, they were my crew and my pacers. It was Ryan and Marc. So they're here to really, because I probably was delirious for a good part of that. So they're here to clarify things as we start to...
We're getting all the perspectives of the race. Yeah.
The reason, when I first heard about the Wyoming Range, I told myself that's a race I never want to do. I had a friend of the podcast, Jimmy Thomas, director of the Tooele Trail Racing. he did it back in 2022. And I remember watching his tracker as he did it and then talking to him afterwards and just thinking he was nuts for going and wanting to run 100 miles in those mountains. And I told myself at that time, that's a race I'm not looking to ever do. But
why did you not want to do it?
because there's a lot of the trails are very rugged. Sometimes they disappear on you. There's a lot of bears in the area, and I don't care about black bears, but there's grizzly bears in this area, and and I heard that there are just ample amount of stream crossings and that you have wet feet almost the entire time. And as I just heard about all these things thrown together, and then most people are out there for going to the second night, it just it was like, wow, that 100 miles is already miserable enough.
Because the cutoff is what,
48 hours, because they think you need that because of the course conditions. So I just thought that why would I want to, 100 miles is hard enough. Why would I want to make it harder?
So basically,
with 20,000+ feet of vert,
it's just way crazy.
Anyways, yeah. And so long story short, we moved to Evanston, Wyoming last year. I didn't run 100 last year, and I start feeling the itch and the urge to run another 100. And so this past winter, I start looking at possible hundreds. YouTube, I come across a video of the Wyoming Range 100 about a guy who ran it, and I watched this video, and something about laying eyes on the mountains and the area and how beautiful it was in the video, and then seeing like what he went through, that guy, it just something about it called. And me moving to Wyoming, and I was like, oh, I moved to Wyoming.
Like phase of life.
Yeah, like let's go run 100 in Wyoming now.
But also, it's just a total Jacob race. The navigation, the technicality of it, it's kind of a Ryan thinks that's really funny. It is though.
Ryan, why
a total Jacob race.
Why are you laughing, Ryan?
Because it's so true. It's so a Jacob race. like if there's no like good roads to drive on, and like you're in the middle of nowhere, and the chances of something bad happening, then yeah, like that's your type of race.
That about sums it up.
Yeah. So honestly, I would have been surprised if you didn't run this race.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah. I mean, but it scared me. It really did scare me. I fast forward now to, 2 weeks before the race. I actually like my past couple hundreds I did, like, honestly, anxiety was pretty low about, for Scout, like it wasn't like, okay, like couple days before, yes.
Okay.
But 2 weeks before, was I stressing about Scout? No.
I don't really remember. But I feel like you were.
Not. Maybe it's because I forgot then, but
maybe you were so anxious that you've like blocked.
I felt a higher level, like 2 weeks.
I will say you were more anxious for
2 weeks before Wyoming, and I was already feeling like super nervous.
Yeah.
About it.
I honestly felt more nervous about pacing you on this race than I did when I did my own 100.
I felt nervous for you guys.
And a lot of it, a lot of it was kind of the mythology behind it, around it. Like it's out, it's remote, there's no communication, there's bears everywhere. Like it didn't turn out to be as bad as the reputation. And in some ways, yes, but in other ways, no. But I was feeling anxious about it, just knowing where it was and how far away it was and how remote it was.
And Mark, that you hit it on the spot. I think a lot of those things were adding up for me. That's why I felt more, because at Scout you basically had cell reception the whole race. At Scout, it's
you
not
just call for help if something happens.
Yeah,
but out here it's so backcountry that
at Scout there's paved roads to every aid station.
Yeah.
Like, and so just stuff like that. And so like at Scout, I don't have to worry about a grizzly bear around the
Mauling
corner.
your face off.
Yeah. And so like those added, like Mark, you said, Mark, those added factors just made the nerves a little higher.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyways, but long story short, we have one member of this crew who's not here today. My neighbor volunteered he wanted to help out in some way. And so
shout out to Rick.
So with this race, it's very backcountry, like we were saying. And so you basically have to camp out near the start line, or else you're going to be driving 2 hours on race morning. Because there's really hardly any.
Well, and I feel like that's pretty typical. I think us being in Utah are spoiled, where a lot of the races we can just wake up and drive to the trailhead, but most of the time that's not the case. Anyways.
Yeah. So
but you guys aren't in Utah anymore, so
no.
I mean,
so we're not.
I know
Yeah,
exactly. Wait a minute, I thought we were
I'm
Wyoming.
just saying.
I just want to make sure that's clear.
Thanks for thanks, Ryan.
We're rugged Wyomings now.
Yeah, we are.
So, anyways, at the beginning, camped out at the near the start line. My neighbor Rick, who took me up, actually hunts those mountains, so he knew the area. He knew exactly the spot to camp. He was awesome. He took me up, and he made me dinner, beef stew, the night before. He woke up with me in the morning, made me eggs and hash browns in the morning, and then drove me. We camped about 5 miles from the start.
Basically, Jacob had the best crew ever.
Yeah, this guy treated me like a king, because I was just looking for someone that, basically get me there. But he was like, oh, no, we're doing this right.
And also, Jacob was telling me, like, the night before when they were getting ready for bed, Rick was going through all of his stuff, and he's like, oh, you should take this. Oh, I don't need this. You should take this.
He's giving me moleskin.
Oh, you might want this.
Ibuprofen.
Yeah, Rick set Jacob up.
Yeah. Anyways, so, then what was going to happen is Mark and Ryan were going to drive up on Friday when I started the race, and they were going to meet me at the first pacer spot, which was mile 44. So I would just use drop bags in the aid stations there for the first 40 plus miles.
So tell us about those first 40 miles. So Rick sends you on your way at the start.
Yeah.
And now you're just all alone, backcountry for 40 miles.
Yep. Well, I mean, with other runners.
So. With other runners, yeah. But no crew or anything.
Yeah. So the morning of the race, I grabbed my bag and it felt a little wet. And I thought, that's
your pack?
Yeah,
oh, okay.
my running pack. And I didn't think that much of it. I just thought like maybe my hose was stuck, the mouth of my hose was stuck, like pressure was on it, and maybe a little water got out. But because it felt still pretty full and everything, I was just like, okay, well, I'm not going to worry about it. And I put my pack on, as I'm getting ready at the start line. And I definitely feel like the water on my bag. And I'm like, well, I don't know. I was just trying. I'm just kind of putting it out. I'm like, I got plenty of water, because I was starting off there with 3 liters of water for the first 10-mile section. And so, anyways, we start off. It's a pretty good climb there at the beginning. You hit Wyoming Peak right there. It's just you run around a beautiful lake there at the start. Everyone's excited. Everyone's talking about how they want to finish the race before nightfall on the second night. Like that's everyone's goal. Pretty much everyone's saying the same thing. It's funny because you're asking each other what the plan is, and so you're talking to these runners, and feels like my back is just getting more wet, and now there's a lot of required gear on this race, so my pack was very full, more full than I normally have it, but anyways, I was just I wasn't trying to stress about anything, and anyways, on the climb up to Wyoming Peak, I'm at about mile 6 or 7, and I also have 2 water bottles in my front. So I got 2 water bottles and a bladder. And so I take a sip out of my bladder, and it's, nothing comes out. And I'm like, what the heck? And I only had like half a water bottle in front left too. I was counting on that water in the back. And so now I'm like,
How much longer did you have to go to get water?
about 4-ish miles.
Okay.
And so I was like, what in the, and I was still on the climb, the ascending part. And so I'm like, do I have a leak? And that's the first time I'm like, I think I might have a leak in my bladder. And so you are required to carry a satellite GPS phone that you could text with. And so at that point, I'm like, well, I got to get another bladder because there are very long stretches on this race without aid stations. So I was able to text Ryan and say, because he hadn't left yet, and be like, hey, grab an extra bladder for me, would you? I think I might have a leak. So that had me a little bit stressed, but I was just
But you weren't super nervous?
no, I was like, I'll figure it out. Like, that's the game of an ultra, is
Wow, way to
there's
go.
always
That's
some.
awesome.
And
you're able to
that time I was
together
like,
that.
well, like I had a 50K training run where I completely blew by the aid station earlier this year,
Yeah.
and I had to, but everything got screwed up there, and so I was like, that was a good, like, okay, just whatever, figure it out. You can figure it out.
That honestly is impressive because I'm like, your bladder
Yeah.
has a leak in it.
I still had 2 water bottles though,
Okay.
so.
But that's only like 2 hours worth of water.
Yeah, I know, but I was like, I'll just drink the bladder first. I'll fill it up at every aid station, and I'll drink that first. And I had a water filter on me too.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
And so I'm like, I might be utilizing my water filter quite a bit.
Yeah.
But anyway, so got to that first aid station. That one was actually a very runnable downhill trail. It was really nice switchbacks. Probably the only nice switchbacks I encountered on that whole
Like, this
that
race
whole
isn't gonna be
course.
as hard as I thought.
Yeah. So, anyways, got refilled and everything, and then tried to took my bladder out, tried to find the leak there at the aid station, and we put water in, and we were like squeezing it, and we couldn't find anything. And I had a volunteer helping me, and I'm like, huh, that's weird. And maybe like something was just sitting weird on it,
Yeah, something just didn't seal properly.
Yeah. Something wasn't sealing. And so, yeah, you ran an 8-mile section on a dirt road, also really nice runnable road. And then, I get to the second aid station, and this is where you have a 16-mile stretch with a 3,800-foot climb between the second aid station and the third aid station. Everything's feeling fine, but I am concerned about my bladder if it's going to leak on me. Now in my drop bag, I did have a plastic water bottle in that, and so I filled that up with water. I'm like, okay, I'm going to take this with me. Filled my bladder up, and like, well, hopefully, like, I didn't feel any leaking in that section, so I hope maybe everything's okay. And then, but I still didn't feel quite 100% right, because the race director kept stressing that section carried tons of water, more than you think, and so I was standing there about to leave, and I was like, fine, I went up to this volunteer. I was debating in my head on this. So I went up to the volunteer. I'm like, hey, do you guys by chance, I'm like, if I had one more bottle on me, I would feel a lot better. And so I went to the volunteer and I said, hey, do you guys have like a plastic water bottle anywhere? Like, like that I could use? And the race director was there, and he heard me saying that, and he went and goes in his truck, takes out a Pepsi bottle, like a 16-ounce Pepsi bottle, and it still had some Pepsi in it. And he drinks he drinks the rest of the Pepsi and hands it to me.
That's awesome.
That's pretty cool.
That's ultras for you.
Yeah. So we rinsed it out, and then so I took off with 4 liters of water on this section, and
Wait, did you fill up your bladder?
yes.
And how But you also had 2 flasks and 2 water bottles.
plastic water
okay.
bottles.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. And yeah, it was hard to carry all that too. A lot of times I was holding a bottle at all times
Yeah, that
for
sounds
that
horrible.
section. Yeah, or I was trying to stuff like the bottles in.
Lot
They
of
kept
weight.
popping. They kept popping out. Yeah, it is a lot of weight. But overall, body's feeling good. So I start the climb up Box Canyon. This might have been the most gorgeous part for me because I was still mentally in it. But it's a beautiful canyon. There is a waterfall. There's red rock at the top of the mountain, and then lush green at the bottom that you're climbing through. Super pretty. And you get kind of up on this ridge, and you can see down into 2 different valleys. You're like on the crest of the Wyoming Range. Really, really pretty. At this point, I started noticing my legs were feeling, particularly my right leg was feeling really tight. And it was concerning me a little bit. And I was like, ooh, like that's something if I don't keep in check could turn into cramps. And then also I thought I was feeling hot spots. I don't think they were. Later on, I figured this out later on. I think it was just my Achilles swelling. But
Was that all?
yeah.
Not hot spots, just my Achilles tendon swelling up.
Yeah. And anyways, yeah. But
sometimes that can be easier to run through than blisters.
So I did stop on the climb. I put on tape on over my Achilles because I thought they were hot spots. I also did some stretching, and I had like a 45-minute mile in there where I was addressing all this. And I was just telling myself, it's okay. You take care of it now, slow down now, and you'll gain that time back later down.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because I didn't want to do that at all. I did not want to do that.
And you were booking it at first. Because we were all watching his tracker, and even, I mean, we'll get here, but when, you 2 showed up to our house to pick up Jacob's stuff, we were like kind of worried. We were like, dang, you're like, he's going really fast.
I held back on that first climb.
No, you.
I did. Yeah. I could have gone faster on that, and I was trying to keep things in check.
Yeah.
But I also realized when there's good trails on that kind of course, you got to take advantage of it.
Totally.
So there's a balance there. So I was trying to balance that.
I had faith in you. Yeah. I was like, he knows what he's doing. Anyways,
that was that section. I can't remember how long it took me, but I think it did take me like about 6 hours to do those 16 miles. And there was some tough course navigation when you drop back down through this canyon. The trail, it goes into some thick timber with a lot of downed trees, and the trail was not well marked through the timber. And if it weren't for my GPX, I would have been like, am I off course? Like I would have been really concerned. But thank goodness I had the GPX downloaded.
Were you around any other runners?
No, and that's the thing.
So
I wasn't. I basically did that whole section by myself.
So it didn't take very long for you guys to disperse.
Yeah, I passed one couple that was running together.
Cool.
And that was their first 100, and I was like,
I thought you couldn't do this race without doing 100.
If you contact the race director, they said they reached out and the race director approved it.
Dang.
But I was like, guys, you guys
did they finish? Do you know?
They didn't. I looked it up. They didn't. Bummer. But it was awesome for them for signing up. And,
yeah, good for them.
Yeah, they made it 60 plus miles still for their first 100 on that course.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That was their first ultra. Actually, they haven't even ran an ultra. I remember.
We need to get them on the podcast, man.
Boy, that's jumping in with both feet there.
Yeah,
that's
and they were doing it together as a married couple. Anyways, they were cool. I talked to them for a minute, but then I passed them, and then like right after I passed them, like I never saw them again. And anyways, didn't see anybody else.
Dang.
And there is a mile and a half out and back though, to the aid station. And so when I finally got on that out and back, there was a lot of stream crossings in this one section. But when I finally got on that out and back and saw like runners coming back, it felt really good. Like,
I
go,
bet.
yeah, because I was like 5 hours by yourself,
Jeez.
Um,
Did you have any like life-changing like revelations like out in the mountain by yourself?
no.
Just had to ask.
Anyway, so got the aid stations, Roaring Forks. That's about the 50K mark. Got there. That's a pretty big aid station. I took some time. I actually put more tape on my hot spots, kind of readdressed them, a little bit better, what I thought was hot spots. Got stuff out of my drop bags and ate quesadilla, got some food and got back out there.
And at
So
this point, no gut issues. Like
No.
you're sticking to your nutrition
yeah,
plan.
yeah. And my plan was to drink gnarly 1 hour. Then the next hour would be water I have little electrolyte drops in the water. So I do gnarly 1 hour, then I would do water, and I would eat something on the water hour. And then the next hour I would do tailwind, and then I would do water. So I was trying to do that.
So you would do liquids and solids every other hour.
Yeah, yep, and alternate to try to with the palate fatigue and things to not just be sucking down sugar every hour.
Yeah, awesome.
And so it was working great.
No stevia at all.
Yep, no stevia. Avoided that like the plague.
Because stevia gives you the poops. That's what we learned.
Yes. Okay, but I left. So then it's evening time. It's like 5-6 o'clock ish, something like that. And so now I've got 11 more miles to get to Mark and Ryan. And I really didn't want to be out in the dark long. But I knew I was probably going to see some dark by myself at this point with how my pace was. And so anyways, I linked up with another runner, and started talking with him as we left the aid station. We spent a few miles together. I took a poop, and this poop started to concern me because it hit me, and it's like, oh, if I don't get in the bushes within the next minute, it's coming
Done
out.
for?
Yeah. Yeah. So luckily I
was
got
without
that
speaking.
out. Yeah. I think just a large amount of carbs or something just gets me.
Well,
Yeah,
elevation and everything, exertion. There's so many factors.
So when that poop hit, I actually took a Imodium
Oh,
or
you
whatever
did.
it's called.
That's right, Imodium.
So because that's what
Miracle
saved
drug.
me at Scout. So I'm like, oh no, what happened at Scout isn't going to happen. So I took one there. I'm like, okay, well, let's see. And because my stomach was feeling a little unsettled with that poop.
And the Imodium didn't mess anything up after that, right?
No.
Okay.
And so then this is a
Wait. So you're running with this guy? and
Yeah,
you're like,
his
hey,
name's
nice to
Steven.
meet you. Then you're like, well, gotta poop.
Yep, exactly.
That's funny.
It's kind of how it went. And then I caught back up to him. And this one, you're kind of in like this river bottom area. There's this creek and a lot of creek crossings, and it just feels like bear territory. There's high willows everywhere. Like you can't really see anything because you just got like willows that are tall as you, and then you're going in and out of creeks. And so I was actually really glad to be running with Steven, because and we both talked about, it's like, this just feels like bear territory. And so we go up this climb, and anyways, the sun's starting to set at this point, and then we're about to make a descent back down to mile 44 where I'd meet Ryan and Mark. And as I'm about to make the descent, another poop hits me.
Oh no.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, just this is not happening
Well,
again.
and especially like on the descent when you're running
Yeah,
fast.
yeah.
That's when it.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I run
you can't
off,
just hold it in.
I take another poop, and then I'm like, another Imodium's going in me.
Really?
Yeah, I'm like, if the first one wasn't enough. So
I mean, it's very normal and healthy to have to. I mean, you can't run 100 miles without pooping at all.
No, but
you
these
know?
like, it hits me, like when it hits, it was like, this is about come out, like
Okay.
like and like it's scary, Ryan knows all too well. He saw me probably take about 7 to 8 poops one night. at Scout.
I think he
This-
holds the record right now between
I
all
think
of us. For number of
7 to
poops
8
and
poops between an 8 in one section between
so
8
you
stations.
have trauma. You have PTSD, so you're like when you're on 100 you have to poop. It's like all the trauma comes
yeah.
out.
Like I was,
You would, yeah.
I was like, Scout is not about to happen. So, but here's the thing, that's the last time I ever had. I never pooped the rest of the run. I
Really?
don't think I did. Anyways, it's got Imodium worked.
Okay.
The second one did the job. That's put
And
me over the limit.
no gut issues after that.
So my gut was starting to feel queasy.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, what is it, And so it felt queasy after I drank a gnarly. But then ran down this technical downhill and I felt really good on it. And I might have took it too fast down this downhill, but like the sun is really setting at this point. The headlamp was just turned on. I saw Menace Falls, which is this really cool waterfall, just barely before the sun completely went down. So that was cool. Went down this downhill. I passed a couple people, felt good, and made it to Mark and Ryan at about mile 45-ish.
Okay, so I figured we'd kind of take a pause here so we can catch up. So Dad and Ryan, maybe tell us kind of your day up to this point to where you met Jacob. Maybe we'll start with you, Dad.
It was much less eventful than Jacob's day, I'm sure. I basically just drove up to your place in Evanston and a little bit early and got to visit with you and Travis for a little bit. And then Ryan came up after work, jumped in the car, and we drove the 3 hours out up to Big Piney. And then we took a left, and all of a sudden we were in this amazing forest land. I mean, it was really beautiful. Fortunately, it was starting to get dark when we got there, and so by the time we met Jacob, it was well into the night and dark. But we got there just in time, so it was still light, so we could kind of see where we were going. But this was all kind of new territory for us. But we found it really without any issues. The directions were good, and we found where we were supposed to be, and we logged all the stuff over, and we just kind of started waiting for him to show up. So it was pretty easy peasy up to that point for us anyway.
Well, I will say this. So, Dad, you hung out with me and Travis for a little bit. We went out to eat. It was really fun. You were anxious. You were nervous. This is you the whole time.
That's what I was saying before.
If you're on YouTube, you can watch this. This was you.
With a rock star.
with a rock star.
It's just because I'd had 7 of them.
You couldn't sit down. I was like, let's just relax. I was like, this is a big few days
like
for you.
me.
You're pacing, you're crewing, you're not gonna be sleeping a lot. I was like, just sit down, relax. And you're like, I can't sit down. You're pacing around the house and you were, going over, okay, I have this and this and this. And yeah, you were anxious. I was anxious too. I was like, yeah, this is
Well, I just knew I knew it was coming like that.
Yeah.
After the car ride, then the adventure began, and then it was just all in,
Yeah. Yeah. What about you, Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, not a lot different than what Mark said. I mean, pretty kind of just went to work, did my thing that day.
How was work? Just kidding.
Yeah, work was work. It's definitely not called fun. That's for sure. But just went to work, did what I did that day. I was following Jacob, and I know we had talked about this, that I was the one getting for some reason you guys weren't able to get the messages, and so Jacob was messaging me and kind of giving me updates, and I was following along, and I felt like
message us to keep us updated.
Yep, and I keep you guys updated, and I felt like kind of like what you guys were saying at first. Like, I know Jacob's like, I held back, but I thought he was going a little bit fast too. Like, I was getting a little nervous, and I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but I do still think he went a little too fast, and we'll get to that point
Hey,
later
Jacob,
on here.
I stood up for you. I was like, Ryan, I trust him. His training's good. He knows what he's doing.
And so when I pulled up Melody's, your guys' place, and we were talking, the last thing I said to Melody, I said, Melody, what was his training plan? Like, be honest with me. And she went through it, and I just was like, I'm not going to lie, I was very skeptical.
Are Are you
So-
saying you doubted my coaching?
No, no. I just was like,
You
you
just
know,
did.
I didn't see a lot of that on Strava, and I'm not saying Strava is the only way to like validate if someone's actually around that stuff, but I'm like, yeah, I never saw him really do what you said he did, but I'm like, all right, this is gonna be interesting.
I
But
know Ryan's always judging my Strava.
I'm just I do follow Strava closely. I see what all my especially my friends if they're going for big goals, I watch closely just to see how your training's going. But you know, I thought he was going pretty fast at first, and I was like, man, I hope he brings it back. But that was fine. And then like what Mark said, we drove up, had a good we had a good conversation going
Do
up
you
the whole
guys share
time.
secrets and stuff?
Who? Me and
Yeah,
me.
you two like drive.
We talked about running most of the time.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know.
I
Yeah,
just
we
thought maybe you guys like had like
Awkward.
a really amazing bonding moment, and you just like really open
was
up
good.
to each other. And
It was a good ride. No, we had
Anyways.
good discussions. It was a good ride.
Anyway, so
But Ryan, I do want to say, yes, my training plan was on the lighter side for what people typically think of for 100 milers. I peaked out at about 53 miles. I think that was my peak week, 53 miles. And probably I think I did about 12,000 feet of vert that week. So 53 miles,
Nice.
12,000 feet. That was my peak. And, but I told you this, like Melody coached me through this process. And I told Melody, like, to be honest, like, I don't think I can, I don't want a training plan that's going to consume me. I want a training plan that's going to
we
get me to the
tailored
finish.
a training plan for Jacob
Yeah.
and his life. and
Yeah.
taking into consideration all the other stresses in his life, and that is what he was able to
Yeah.
realistically
So
get.
Melody was like, okay, I'll make you one. And I only ran 150K leading up to it. I ran my next biggest day was a back-to-back where I did two 13-mile runs on the same day, one in the morning and one in the evening. And I got like over 6,000 feet on that day.
We did take a kind of different strategy or different approach than we
Yeah.
usually do. When we first started running ultras, it was like we killed ourselves every single weekend. And the approach with this one was less really big kill yourself runs that you have to recover from. And we tried to space out the miles a little bit more and more back-to-backs.
But the back-to-backs were only like 4 hours each. They weren't very excessive, or 3 hours each, 3 to 4 hours, something like that.
Which you really don't need more than that.
Anyways.
So
yeah, and not gonna lie, a part of me would have felt better going into Wyoming if I had more.
Yeah, we
I
did
didn't.
decide we wanted a few
didn't.
more kill yourself.
I didn't.
days.
Yeah. Like I wanted one more like really big day that I never got in. But what's done was done. And at that point it was just, let's get the race. Let's just run this race. When I come into mile 45 when Mark and Ryan were there, and it was good to see familiar faces, and it's probably like 10 p.m. ish. So, I don't know, somewhere between 10 to 11, I think.
I always say it was about around 9:30 or 10. No, it's
Yeah.
probably 10. Probably around 10 o'clock. When you
I
got
think
there.
around 10. Yeah. Mark, Ryan, how did I look to you guys at that point?
Well, honestly, you look pretty tired. But that was, given that was your highest climb that you did in the first part of the race, and running through the night, 44 miles. I mean, anybody would be tired after 44 miles. And so I think our goal was just to try to get you out quick. And so we were just trying to get some food in you, and let's just get set up and let's get, let's get your pacer out there with you and you can get through the night. But but I remember I took a couple of snapshots, and I remember looking at the pictures after, thinking, man, he looks like he's in pain, like already at 44.
I wasn't really in pain. No, I really wasn't though. Like I was
That's
tired and there was some fatigue, but I wasn't like, nothing was overwhelming me. Like nothing was making me think that I can't do this, like Ryan, as we set off there, because that's where you jumped in with me, Ryan. And you were joining me for the next 40 miles.
See, best crew ever.
Wow. Like, and I texted you beforehand. I was like, dude, are you sure? Because, like, I know for me, like, right about that marathon distance when I'm pacing, that's when I start to be like, okay, like, this is taking its toll on me now, you know?
Well, because not only when you're pacing someone, not only are you also running and it's hard,
Yeah.
but you're also kind of babysitting.
Yeah. You
You know.
got to take care of yourself and the fatigue on yourself as well as the runner. So Ryan, as we set off, what was going through your head?
Yeah, so I actually kind of do feel a little bit different than Mark on this one. I thought you looked pretty good. I was like 45 miles in, and I know how much you love Wasatch 100, but I'm thinking, okay, he's at Lambs Canyon right now. Like, he's doing good. Like, he looks pretty good. Like, I kept thinking to myself, okay. And at the time, I didn't know it was whatever the distance is. What is it, like 105 miles for Wasatch Range or 108? I didn't know that number. What was it again? Was it 108?
108,
105?
yeah.
Okay.
108.
I didn't know that. I thought it was, around 100. I was like maybe 101, 102, something like that. So the whole time I'm thinking, okay, like we've always talked about, and like, Melody, when you coached me, was like this is where, first 50 miles are good and the last 50 miles suffer fast. Like, that's just how it
Yeah.
goes. And, like, just like we talked about, like, I wasn't trying to critique your training plan. Please trust me. I feel bad. I felt like you were trying to defend
No.
yourselves. And
No,
that's not what I was trying to
it
go
was
for.
just a joke, Ryan.
It was
No,
more
I
of like, because what I interpret, like, okay, like what can you do and where can we push you and how much you have left in the tank? And that's kind of like what my thought process was. And so I thought to myself, like, when I picked you up, because it was funny, I was trying to get pictures of you and you're like, okay, enough pictures. And I was like, okay, poopy pants, like, this is for Melody. This isn't for me. Like, I'm doing this for Melody. Because she said to me when I picked your, when I picked up Mark, like, hey, get a lot of pictures. And anyway, so I was like, dude, chill, like, smile. And I think I said that to you a couple times, like, dude, smile so I can get a picture of you. Like, holy crap. And anyways, funny story. A lot of people have commented, oh, Jacob didn't look happy at all. And I was like, yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying is the pictures are where I was like, he just looked tired in his pictures,
You look
And
rough.
I just am not, when I'm in an ultra, I'm just not in the mode to just smile for a picture.
So Ryan was
like, I'm
really good.
I'm out there to
make
get
you.
the job done, not stand around and smile.
I'm like, dude, we need content. I know you're going to want this content. I was like, stop being a poopy pants. Like, work with me on this. Anyways, so it was just funny. I was kind of laughing. But I remember when we set off and I was like thinking back to what Melody had told me about your training plan. I was like, okay, like, he's going to be fine. He's probably going to be a little bit tired, but he can do this. And like, obviously, like, you were like, dude, there's so many water streams and we're crossing these water streams one after another. And I'm like, and I keep going back to what happened with me last year at Wasatch when I put my foot in the stream going up Bear Canyon at mile, whatever it was, 6, 7. And I just kept thinking to myself, I'm like, dude, you're going to get blisters like crazy. And you were prepared for that because you had your socks and
I
changed
changed
them out and everything.
Yeah, I change socks quite often.
I love that you were doing that because I was like, man, if there's anything that's going to derail him, it might be that, because I've had blisters at every 100 and I'm just like, they can just be mean. But I remember you did really good, like, leaving, and your spirits were high initially. Like, when we left, you were doing good. And the one thing that I just always remember, and I told you I'd bring this up later too, but like, you were just like on point with nutrition and hydration. You were just like every hour on the hour, like you were hitting it. And I would remind you and you're like, yep, this is this hour, or this hour I'm doing this. And I'm like, okay, like, make sure you're doing it. And you did. And I was like, okay, things are going about as good as we can get at this point. And yeah, miles 45, 50, 55, 60, I felt like flew really well. Like, we had good time at night. Honestly, like, at times I felt like I was trying to catch up to you. I mean, as a pacer, like, a lot of times I'm just power hiking and you're the runner's trying to run, but I'm just power hiking. And I'm like, oh, a couple times I got to kind of catch up to him a little bit here and run with them. But I think the real fun started when we were at mile 60, and I don't want to get ahead of it. So I'm sure you got stuff you want to talk about.
Well, I just want to comment too. Like, up to that point, you were an hour ahead of your schedule, all the way up until like that mile 60 or whatever,
Yeah.
through the night or whatever. So you were doing well. Like, I don't mean to imply that you weren't doing well. You just looked tired, which was expected because you went through a lot on your own before we even met you.
Yeah.
And the other,
Go
I was
ahead,
just gonna
Ryan.
say, and just really quickly, it was really cool because like we just kept catching people at night, even when we got past mile 60. Like you still caught people, and it was kind of cool that like, and again, not that that's at least I'm sure you feel the same way, but like to me, it's never about like trying to beat people. It's just like, hey, let's all try to get there. But it was just really cool because you would just like pass somebody, and they would like look at you like, who is this dude? Like he's just strong. He looks good. And I just kept thinking, man, like, dude, you're, as David Goggins says, like, you're taking souls, like, one after another. People are like, wow, did he just really pass me? And it was just really cool to see. I was like, dude, this is going really good. Like, 15 miles into my 40 with you, I was like, yeah, buddy, like, this is a good day.
Yeah, it
Heck
was
yeah.
going really good for the duration of that night. For most of the night, it went really well.
And you're a really strong
Yeah.
night runner.
And we saw Mark at like 2 a.m. at McDougal Gap.
Yeah, still an hour ahead too.
Yeah. And I was starting to feel like really drowsy coming into McDougal,
which is pretty typical.
Yeah, because it's 2 a.m. Yeah, I'd been up for nearly 24 hours at that point. And I took a rock star there. That gave me a nice hit for that climb. And like I was noticing like the climbs, and I know Ryan, you noticed this, like the climbs had started to become really hard for me. That tight leg, my right leg was just so tight. I've never had
like your
that
hip
before.
flexor.
Like my calf, my hamstrings, my groin, like I felt it through like the whole back of my Achilles, the whole back of my right leg, and it really affected my climbing. Like descents, flats, downhills, it didn't bug me at all. I only really felt it when I was climbing. But like it wasn't anything that was, bringing me down too much. And so yeah, like we get to about I think even through mile 60, basically we get to about mile 64, and the sun, it's like 5 a.m. ish about this point. Sun's starting to peak up, and we drop down into this little valley, this meadow. Ryan's just smiling, and I know why. We drop down into this meadow, and yeah, like I don't know, some pretty heavy fatigue really starts coming down on me, and the sun's coming up, and like the meadow was super cold. It had to be below freezing in that meadow. We're high. We've been above 9,000 feet for most of the night. And we're coming in. We're probably only about a mile out from the aid station, and there's about like I don't know, 300-foot climb out of the meadow. And so we start climbing out of the meadow, and I just like that climb just it was hard. It was really, really hard. And like the emotions kind of start coming, like, the fatigue is taking over. Like I remember it was hard to even like breathe going up that climb. Like the whole body just wanted to stop, but I just go really slow up that climb, and then it's kind of like a little bit of a gradual uphill to the aid station, and you can kind of see the aid station off in the distance. There's not a lot of trees. There's just this giant meadow that you're going through. And we get to the aid station there, and I'm just, I don't know. I just feel, I just know I need a moment.
This is a different kind of fatigue, right? Because I'm like, of course. I mean, you're 60 miles in.
I couldn't at that point.
Of course,
like
you're feeling heavy and tired.
Yeah, I wasn't noticing. I didn't know if it was a different kind of fatigue at that point. Like
You
I don't
just
know.
were tired.
I just really just felt like tired. Like I was like, man, I really need like some Excedrin or some caffeine, or I don't know, like I need a little bit of a reset, you know. Um, and so the aid station was in this hunting camp with these big cool canvas tents on platforms, and like there wasn't like it was kind of like it wasn't to me it wasn't 100% clear which tent was the aid station. um and so I walk into this big tent. It looks like, I'm like, okay, I think it's that one. You know, it has a table set out in front of it. So this is Blind Bull, and it's at mile 66. I didn't know it was mile 66 at that point. I hadn't looked at my watch, and so I I walk into the aid station, and I ask them, because I walk in and like nobody says anything to me, and I'm just like, there's a couple people in there, and I'm like, is this the aid station? You know, so I ask them, is this the aid station? And they're like, yeah, and I'm like, okay, and they're like, take a seat, and I just saw a lawn chair kind of in the back corner, and I knew, like, I'm like, I don't want like people walking in front of me, like I want to go sit kind of away. And so I go sit down, and I look at my watch and I see mile 66, and everyone who knows, who's listened to especially our first 100, knows that's a special mile for us, Melody, as that's the mile we nearly pulled out of our first 100. And then I look up and I see a lady holding a little kid in a sleep sack, and one of the volunteers. And it's just like, so the mile 66 reminds me of you, and how critical like you've always been to me with all my hundreds, and this was the first 100 that you weren't going to be there crewing or pacing,
Yeah, that was
you
hard.
know. And it was really, and I'd been thinking about you a lot through the last 24 hours as I was doing it, and you know, because this has been our thing that we do together, and this was different doing it without you. And then I saw the kid, and it reminded me of my son
Travis
Travis.
always sleeps in a little
Yeah,
sleep
Travis
sack.
sleeps in a sleep sack, and I was just feeling so drained from everything at that point that like I broke down, and I was just sitting there crying in that lawn chair, and you had given a note to Ryan, um, and to give to me, and so I had been carrying them in my pocket, waiting to read them. Um, for the right moment. And so I thought, okay, maybe if I read this, I can get, you know, some motivation. And so I got the note out, and they got me some soup to drink. And so I got the note out, and I couldn't even read it. Like I couldn't open it. I just held it, and I cried. And then like the volunteer, I could tell she was like a little bit, I didn't know what to do. She didn't know what to do, or if she should be offering me anything or anything. And I kind of told her, right, didn't I tell her? I was like, mile 66 is, I was like, it's always this mile that is my hardest. Yeah. And she asked me, well, does it get easier at some point? And what what did I say, Ryan? I was like, farther, yeah, eventually, or something like that.
I thought if I remember correctly, I thought you were like, no, it really never does, and I kind of
Oh,
started like
okay.
chuckling.
Well,
And
I
I
was
was
like,
like,
Line it does.
yeah,
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, and I don't know. I just was feeling a lot of emotions at that mile, and I know Ryan's patiently waiting there, but I could tell.
I know.
I
I'm
could
really
tell.
excited to hear Ryan's side.
I felt like I could tell Ryan was a little bit like, okay, Jacob, pull it together. We got to get out of here. We can't stay here all morning. I don't know. What were you thinking at this point, Ryan?
So yeah, kind of back it up a little bit. Like when we were climbing up through like whatever it was, that field and everything, and it was really cold. I remember like getting some pictures of you, and you were just going. And funny, weirdest thing ever. I don't know if this like runners did this or what, but there was all these dead mice in the grass.
Oh, weird.
And I remember being like super disturbed. I was like, holy crap, like people are stepping on these things in this field. And I was like, I remember I came up to you and I was like, Jacob, did you see those mice? And you were just like, didn't respond. I was like, oh, we're back to this point where Jacob doesn't talk to Ryan. So here we go.
Do you remember the mice,
I was like,
Jacob?
I didn't see
I was
any
like,
mice.
here we go.
Weird.
Here we go. This is where the fun begins with him. And so we had to climb up like 300-400 feet, whatever it was, out of this thing. And he was going slow, but I was like, hey, the best thing about a 48-hour finish is he's got time. So I'm like, I'm not going to push him. Because I did tell him when we first started, I was like, dude, you're so dead. I've waited for my opportunity to just push you like you always do with me on my races. But I was like, it's hard to, because he's not going to be up against a DNF. So I was like, I can't give him too much grief. But we get into that aid station and he tells the soft side of the story. This is what really happened when he got into the tents. So he like walks in and he's like looking around and he made it sound nice. What he really said is he's like, is this an aid station? And I'm like, geez, dude. And like the dude looks at him and you could tell he's pissed. And then he looks right at me and I'm like, I was like, everybody just like chill. Like it's all good. Like we're all good. And so I'm like, Jacob, it is.
Aid station?
Yeah. And
I
I'm like,
wasn't meaning to come off rash. Like I didn't know.
But the guy was like, dude, like, I don't have to be here. Like that was the look on his face. And I was like, hey, everyone just chill. Like, hey, I was like, dude, Jacob, go sit down. I'll get your stuff. And so I'm like getting all your stuff for you. And I can tell you're struggling, right? And you're just like not having it right now. And so I actually backed away. I was like, you know what? You need a minute. We're not up against like cutoff. If we were, I would have been like, hey man, I need you to pull it together. So that was probably the longest aid station I gave you to just like, cry it out, get your crap together. Because I think you remember, well, maybe you don't remember, but like I spent a lot of time trying to like motivate you and be like, dude, you got to do this. Like this is, it's been 2 long years. This is where you're supposed to be. And I was trying to say a lot of stuff to you to get you motivated, but I knew when we were at that aid station, I was like, he needs a minute to just cry it out, get some food in him, have some soda, whatever it is. And I was actually over talking with another runner, like basically the whole time you were in there. And he, I forget the dude's name. He was like, I thought he was from like Australia or something, but I was talking with that dude for a minute and we're having a good little conversation. But yeah, I knew it was tough. I knew it was a tough part of the race for you. And you had said that to me after we had left, and I'll let you talk about what happens next. But I was just like, dude, I get it. But I also don't want to be a jerk either. But I was like, I get it, dude. But like, you got to get your crap together and let's get going, because like this is a race and the only way you're going to see Melody and Travis again is you got to finish this race. So get your crap together. Let's pull it back together mentally and let's get the crap out of here.
And I was never considering dropping here. Like the thought of dropping was never in my head.
And
I was just
that's just like a
and I never
pacer's
felt
job.
that
It's
either.
like, let's
Yeah.
go.
I was just like I needed a minute. Like I was really missing you
And
guys.
that's something we talked a lot about before your race was, feel your feelings, cry, swear, like whatever you got to do, feel the feelings, and then keep going. Right.
Yeah. And
You just wait till later.
yeah.
I can't wait.
Gosh. So we take off, and this is where you go up to the second highest point of the race, Dead Man Mountain. And I actually did take a poop. Remember, right after we left that aid station. So I did take one more. That was my last poop of the race. So,
Yay!
And that was,
Everyone note, Jacob pooped exactly 3 times during this 100.
and this is where he said to me, I had to bring this up on the podcast. I don't even think you remember this. He was calling ammonium.
Ammonium.
And I was like, at first I was like, what is he talking about? But when we get to the top of Dead Man, this is where I corrected you on it. So we'll continue. But that was the first time you said to me, you're like, yeah, I took some ammonium. And I'm like, what? I'm like, ammonium is a cleaning solution. And that's what I was thinking in my head. I'm like, I don't think he's all there. So I was like, okay, I kind of just blew that one off. But continue. We'll get top of Dead Man. I'll finish the rest of that story.
Problem.
Yeah.
So, anyways, and this is where like that climb out of that little prairie was so hard, right? And so then you have a bunch of little hills. You're basically traversing amongst these hills as you're approaching Dead Man Peak, which is, you just see it hanging up over you. You're like, oh my gosh, I have to go up that. And every one of these hills felt so hard. Like the fatigue was so, and I was so tired. I was so drowsy. I just had extreme fatigue, and like, yeah, and like every one of those hills like took my breath away, and like I hadn't felt before. I just
This
had
is when
never.
the fatigue started to feel different.
Yeah, like I thought maybe I drank a rock star at that aid station. I thought, okay, I'll get a boost here. I think I might have even took some Excedrin too, along with
Yeah,
that.
you did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and there was no boost that came from the Excedrin, the Rockstar, no boost. It felt exactly the same.
Yeah, but I do think like you were pretty consistent. Like even though you weren't fast, you were still moving. And I thought that was cool because I knew you were hurting. I knew you were tired. And this is where it started to hit me that I was like, he may have altitude sickness. I started getting a little worried about this because I was like, and we've been up high. I'm starting to worry that something might be happening to you that's not addressed. But sorry, I don't
And
want
to
to get bent out of the course.
rewind, when we came up to camp there, we camped at like 8,500 feet. The race starts around 9,000 feet. And I had a headache when we came up and camped. And so I had to take ibuprofen that night. I woke up that morning, race morning. I had a headache. I had to take.
So you kind of started with some
Yeah,
altitude,
I had
which is
to.
weird because we live at 7,000
Yeah,
feet.
I had to take some Excedrin partway through day one. I tried to put it off as long as I could, but the headache started to, creep. I noticed it get stronger and stronger. And so finally I'm like, okay, I'm taking an Excedrin here, like I can't let this headache turn into a migraine. And so, yeah. And so then like, yeah, we're doing this section. At this point, I'm looking at every hill. Well, I tried to lay down. I told Ryan, I'm like, I know I told Ryan, I literally was like, I think my body might need like a reset, And so I'm like, maybe like a 10-minute nap, can help me. And so I laid down in some grass, and like right when I laid down, like I just like felt my heartbeat, and like all I could focus on was like my breathing and my heartbeat, and it's like it wasn't calming down. And I laid there for like maybe a minute, right, Ryan? I don't know, a minute or two.
Yeah, when you were like, hey, I need a 20-minute nap. Just give me 20 minutes. And I said, we got time. Like, go do it. Like, that's fine. I'm like, I'm going to set my timer for 20 minutes and then I'm waking you up. And so you went and laid down. And I remember when you turned around and you told me, dude, you look like Shaq at the free throw line, man. Like, you were just dripping. Like, it was just constant sweat, like, just dripping. And I was like, he's not good. Like, something's not right with him. And so when you're like, I need to lay down, I was like, you know what? If that will help you at this point, do it. But like you said, it was I think it was like 3 minutes, 3 to 4 minutes. And then I'm just sitting there playing on my phone. I think I was like playing some like chess or something. And all of a sudden you're like, I can't fall asleep. Let's just go. And I was like, okay. So
yeah, because
we
I
just got
laid
back
down.
up.
Yeah, the body wasn't like calming down, and I'm like, I'm not.
And then you also
I'm
said
like,
your
I'm not gonna
breathing
fall.
was like really
Yeah,
shallow.
yeah. I just like, I don't know. Like as I laid down, like I could just, I don't know.
Didn't feel right.
Like my breathing was just like so prominent, and I was like, I'm never gonna be able to sleep because all I can think about is my breathing right now. And so yeah, we get up, and at this point, I'm just looking at every hill, and I'm trying not to look at Deadman. I literally was trying not to look at that mountain. And so I'm just looking at every hill. I'm just like, just gotta make it there. Just gotta make it there. And I was trying to like celebrate a little bit, like put my do a fist pump when I got to the top of a hill. I'm like, anything I can, like let's try to celebrate these wins.
And Ryan, you got a picture of Jacob.
Well, that was on
right?
top of Deadman.
Oh, okay.
And
yeah.
so finally we get to the Deadman climb, and it's these switchbacks up this giant mountain, and I'm feeling terrible, and I'm like crying like as I'm going, like here and there.
Are
like,
you crying hard? Like you're sobbing, or it's just like some tears?
Burst. Like I'm just like oh my gosh, like I don't know, like my emotions were everywhere. I just wasn't feeling good. And as we were climbing Deadman, I kept like trying to tell myself I was going back to like the Ute 100 and climbing Man's Peak with you. That's what it felt like.
Okay.
It was like that steep. And I was like, okay, I've done Man's Peak. I can do this. I've done Man's Peak. I can do this. I had Ryan read me the note at that point because I couldn't read it because I couldn't get
Okay.
my crap together enough to read it. And so that helped. And I just kept thinking about Man's Peak. We make it to the top of Dead Man. Feel terrible. There's a little shack up there. I know it's gorgeous up there, but I barely remember looking around. And I put my arms up because I'm like, okay, we have to celebrate this. I don't know, like
Trying to be
I'm
present.
trying. I'm just trying.
What time is it at this point?
Late morning,
Yeah, it's probably like
10.
10, 11, somewhere between that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways, Ryan, so we get to the top, and then I know we have a monster of a descent down where we're gonna get down to back to 6,000 feet. Dead Man's at 11,000.
4,000-foot drop.
Yeah.
At this point.
And I'm actually really excited about this because I can feel my body wants out of the altitude. Like I can feel that. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to go back down to 6,000 feet. Like I live higher than where we're going to descend to. So like I'm going to be able to breathe again, reset down there. Anyways, it was a monster of a descent.
So are you feeling, Ryan, are you feeling pretty like nervous for Jacob this whole time with his altitude sickness? Or are you just kind of like, oh, he's okay, like just keep moving slow?
Yeah, I mean, I told Jacob a few times, and I even told Mark when we saw him and when we got down off of Dead Man. I kept saying to Jacob, I don't know if you even remember, but I just was like, dude, Jacob, like I love you as a friend. Like I want you to be alive, not dead. And I'm like, I'm getting close to pulling the plug on this. Like I will just say, like, you can't do this. Like you gotta stop. But I kept thinking
So
that
it
the
was
whole
getting
time.
pretty serious.
Yeah, because he just like when we got up there to the top of Dead Man, like I was like trying to like celebrate a little bit and like be excited, and I was, like he knows he's a better downhill runner than me, so I was like, oh dude, you're gonna kill it now going down, and I'm trying to like talk him up, and there was just no emotion back, and I just kept thinking, oh yeah, he is just not here with me. Like he is somewhere else. And, I'm trying to like pump him up the whole time. I keep saying stuff to him to try to just get him excited. And it, it was funny. But really cool story as we were heading up Dead Man. There was these two other runners who came by us, and you always hear people be like, oh, you're almost there, or it's not that bad. And I'm always like, shut up. Like, I don't want to hear that stupid stuff on a race. Like, don't tell me that stuff. Like, I hate that. And these two guys said the most perfect thing. And I kept saying that to Jacob. I was like, dude, those guys said the absolute best thing. They just said, it is what it is. Like, it is what it is.
Yeah.
And I was like,
you
know what?
Soul-sucking climb.
Yeah. And I was like, he's like, it's there. It's what it is. And I was like, dude, thank you. That's all I need to hear. Like, no crap. I can see we got some serious stuff to do now. Jacob's struggling. I'm like, I don't need you to be like, oh, it's not that bad. And I know it probably comes off pretty mean of me to say, but like, I hate when people say, oh, you're almost there, when you've ran, like I always remember that like on road marathons, people always have those signs, you're almost there. They're yelling it to you and you're like 2 miles out and you're like,
yeah.
I've been busting my hump for 24 miles already. And you're telling me I'm almost there. I still got 2 more miles, and this is the hardest 2 miles. Like, quit saying that stuff to me. Anyways,
Yeah.
So I just appreciated two guys being realistic with us. And again, I don't think Jacob remembers it. Maybe he do remember them, those two guys saying it to us. But
I remember
like,
that, yeah.
Yeah, I was just like, I appreciated them just being just honest and like, straightforward. But we get done, like Jacob's up there. We get up there and I'm just like, okay, here we go. Like, this is going to be pretty interesting to see what he does going down. And I personally feel like, especially coming down from Dead Man to where it leveled off for a minute. And then when we had like the 3,000-foot drop after that, like that first initial, you were moving pretty good. I was able to keep up with you for the most part, but you were moving pretty good. Like you did awesome. But
Yeah,
I was like,
I was ready to get off the mountain. I'm like, okay,
yeah.
I got to get off this mountain.
Yeah, I kept thinking, I'm like, man, for how bad he was doing uphill, like, and just being honest, like, I was like, for how much he struggled uphill, he killed the downhill that part, and I was like, he's gonna crush this big descent that's like, down to the aid station there. I'm like, he's gonna crush it, and I knew it was coming. I was like, oh, buddy, he's going to have a good time going down this. So anyways, I'll flip it back
Yeah.
to you, Jacob.
Yeah.
Awesome. I just should we like go to a marathon now with signs that say it is what it is? It is what it is.
It is what it is.
You signed up for this.
Suck it
Yeah.
You
up.
signed up for this.
Yeah.
Suck it up, basically.
Suck it up. Anyways.
Yeah, so we the Dead Man Descent just hits this ridge line, and you're basically going down the spine of this mountain, this ridge, and it's not switchbacks. You're just dropping down this rocky trail. And, and it's like, I don't know, that part was probably like 3,000 foot in less than 2 miles, that you're dropping down. And so we hit that, and I'm feeling pissed about the descent at first. I'm like, gosh, this is hard. And like, but finally, and Ryan says to me, he's like, Jacob, just leave me if you need, if I'll catch up with you at the bottom. Like, because I am a better downhill runner than Ryan. But he has me beat in other fields. So I don't know, something just clicked, and like I was so ready to get off that mountain, so ready. And I'm like, okay, I'm letting the legs go here. Whatever's left here, I'm not worrying about, saving anything right now. We're 70 plus miles in. I'm just letting this go. And so I just let it go. And I probably did some 13s going down for those 2 miles. Clocked about 13-minute miles. And it was really hard on the body though. And I get to the bottom of that descent, and I'm just like, thank heavens. And Ryan was out of sight at this point. I'm in front of him, and I was just like, oh, thank heavens. And I know, and I hit this Jeep road, and it's just like another 2 miles to the aid station on the Jeep road. And so I'm like, okay, like maybe I can, I know I'm going to be on road for like the next like 10 miles. I'm like, and mostly flat or descent. I'm like, okay, like, I'm trying to like get myself hyped up. Like, okay, like I have a 10-mile section to reset here before the final stretch. And so I start trying to run on the Jeep road. I give myself a second to just, celebrate getting off. And I start trying to run, and like, I'm like doing like an 18-minute mile, on a flat gradual descent, like perfect running grade. And like my legs felt like they were literally filled with lead. And I think that descent, like I've never had that feeling. That descent just sucked the life out of my legs. And then like I remember like my breathing was still labored down there. And at this point I really started, like, I felt very frustrated because I'm doing an 18-minute mile, and I feel like I'm giving it my all, and it's like there was nothing there, and it felt like I was doing an 8-minute mile, like my body. And anyways, Ryan catches up to me. I start expressing my frustration and even concern, and then I think I might even said it to Ryan. I'm like, I don't know if I'm getting altitude sickness or what. I think that's the first time I ever openly expressed it. But I was like, I'm struggling to breathe on an 18-minute mile on a gradual descent. Like that doesn't happen to me. Anyways, so like, I don't know, Ryan and I talk about it a little bit. I don't know if much was said. I don't know. We got to the aid station, but Marc was waiting there was no crew at that aid station, but I knew Marc was a couple miles down the road. And I don't know, I got to that aid station, sucked down some broth. I really wanted like soup or something substantial, but they really didn't have anything substantial there. And so I'm like, okay, well, let's go get to Marc at Grays River, which is like miles 78 or something like that. And which is only like less than 2 miles from that aid station. So we go down there. I know, Ryan, we talked about a little bit more about like possible altitude sickness and what to do about it. I'm not sure. Like I was pretty fuzzy at this point. And finally we get to Mark, and this is first time Mark's seen us since mile 55.
Yeah.
And
It's
Mark,
just like 2 o'clock.
yeah, and what were you thinking, Mark, as you waited there and waited and waited, and
Yeah.
we
So
weren't showing up?
yeah, I mean, I was starting to get a little concerned because, like I said, I left you guys about roughly 2 o'clock, I guess, in the morning, and then I threw down a tent, tried to get some sleep, but I was like so nervous. You had been doing so well and was like an hour ahead. I was like, what if I sleep through the aid station? You know, so I was hoping to maybe get 5 or 6 hours of sleep. And maybe I got 4. And then I said, I just got to get there. So I just woke up and threw everything in the truck and I drove around there. And then I waited and waited and waited. And it wasn't really like an aid station. It was just kind of more of a meet point. So there wasn't there weren't any services provided by the race there. So I just kind of sat there and I got the stove set up. I was going to get you some mac and cheese, try to get something warm for you, and waited, waited. I think I want to say it was close to noon, right? By the time you guys came through there, maybe 11:30 noon, and so I finally saw you come down the road, and I walked up to run to ask you what you need, and I just remember just that look on your face, and you just gave me a hug and just cried, and we just hugged it out there for a few minutes. And I was just like, oh man, that must have been a rough night. I had no idea what had actually transpired. I'm hearing about a lot of this for the first time myself, but I was definitely concerned. And then as we got him sat down and started getting him some nutrition and kind of talking to Ryan, and I kind of talked and looked at each other like, and he kind of was telling me a little bit about the condition with not being able to breathe and the altitude sickness, and so we were kind of wondering whether it was going to be healthy to even, regardless of mentally what he wanted to do, is like, is it going to be a health risk to continue on? Like it was a real kind of decision point at this was Grays River, etc., right around, I think about mile 75-ish, 76.
It's 76 on the race, but it's actually 78.
Yeah.
The race says it's 76, but it's more 78.
Right.
So really quick, I got to make sure that this is put in this podcast somewhere. Is this the night where you were hallucinating, or is
no,
that's
the next night.
Okay, we'll get there. Okay, carry on.
Yeah, there's a lot that happens after this, but yeah. So he just sat there for a while, and honestly, we didn't know what we were going to do at this point. Well, he was kind of, we just wanted him to get some nutrition and just kind of see how he felt.
Yeah. And so, and we were trying, I brought this up. I brought Mark my breathing, and I was like, Mark, my breathing just feels labored, even on flats. And like, I don't know if I have altitude sickness, and I don't know if it's going to get worse, and yeah, like it was kind of like and I'm like, if this gets worse, I don't think I'm going to be able to, like, I don't want to get caught out in these mountains deep in the woods and hardly be able to walk or anything, so at this point I had the idea of, I changed clothes. I'm like, okay, let's like reset here, so I finally, this is my first clothes changing.
You.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
And changed clothes, and I had the idea, and we're all of the same faith, Mark, Ryan, and myself, and you included,
Awesome.
Mel. And in our faith, we believe in the power of healing, just like Jesus Christ healed, when he was upon the earth. We believe that power is still here, and that authority is here on the earth. And so when we do it through what we call blessings, and so I had the idea of, I felt like I should ask Ryan and Mark to give me a blessing, to kind of help either guide me or even potentially heal me, so I could finish it, or if I needed to drop out of the race, maybe it could give me some sort of guidance to, like, hey, this isn't safe. Because at this point, I'm also thinking about you and Travis. I'm like, I don't want to the most important thing is going back home in one piece to my, my family. And so I asked them for a blessing, and so we kind of tried to find as private of a spot as we could, there in the woods. And so Mark and Ryan give me this blessing, and right as the blessing started, I remember you, Melody, telling me before the race, I was going to have Mark pace me for the beginning section, just like the first 10 miles. I initially had 3 pacers, but one of them ended up having other family commitments. So, and that third guy was actually going to finish me off. But I remember, like, at that point, I didn't know he wasn't going to come. But I remember, like, something didn't feel right when I set my pacers. I was at Mark 1, Ryan 2, and then the third guy 3. And then I was like, I felt like for some reason Mark was supposed to finish me off. And I remember I told you, Melody, I was like, I think I'm gonna actually put Mark.
Well,
I
and
put your dad as
it was also kind of a big
yeah.
deal because, Dad, you were dealing with
Yeah.
some like injuries and kind of some
cramping.
weird things.
Yeah,
and
yeah. You had
I
had a
some
great
knee
summer.
problems and things. So I
Yeah.
was nervous about running
Yeah.
the last 22 miles.
Yeah, because there's 6,000 feet. It's very technical. Last 22, and Melody and I told you, I was like, I kind of feel emotional about it, like having Mark finish me off.
I did too when you told me that.
Yeah, and then you said, as I told you, you're like, I think you guys are gonna see a miracle together. You said that to me, and that honestly scared me. I'm like, why are we gonna need a miracle? Like, is a bear gonna attack us, or is a bear gonna attack someone else, and we're gonna have to scare him off? Or I'm like going through all these scenarios, like a miracle. Why would we need a miracle? But right when Mark and Ryan administered that blessing, before Mark even said a word, I heard your words say that, and I knew in that moment, I'm finishing this race. This is a miracle. I'm finishing this race.
It is a miracle.
Yeah, because I didn't know. Yeah.
And I will tell you that your countenance before we started that blessing completely changed. And when we concluded, I looked down and your countenance had changed to a look of determination. And I remember you just standing up and you just said, "We're going to finish this race." And you, within minutes, you had walked over, gathered your stuff, and you were off on the next 6-mile segment to where then I would take over. And just so you know, like you during that night, you had lost that hour plus an hour, right? So that's how rough that night was, and so it was significant. And then the next 6 miles, I remember I drove down the road to the next 6 miles, and this was a nice downhill road, so it was a good segment to kind of reset. But I remember you getting there way faster than I thought you were going to get there, just based on what I'd heard over the night before, like by an hour. Like I thought I was going to be there for a bit, and then when I saw you and Ryan come down the road, I was like, wow, they made up some time here.
Yeah, yeah. And so Ryan and I took off on that 6-mile stretch, but it wasn't all roses from there, because at that point I had, as Ryan and I was taking off, we were running on this dirt road, and like I started experiencing some sort of vertigo or something. I couldn't tell. I felt like I was running downhill. My body was telling me I was going downhill, but my eyes were telling me I was going uphill.
So weird.
Like the road looked like it was like curving up to me. And I had to ask Ryan at one point, like, am I going uphill or downhill? I can't tell.
Up or down.
That's nuts.
Yeah. And so like there still was some like things, but I'm just like, I tried to like, okay, I'm going to show my faith, like I really feel like God was telling me that finishing this is safe and it is possible, and and it's a reasonable thing, and that I can do this. So I'm like, the vertigo thing started to hit. I'm like, okay, whatever. We're just gonna keep moving, and and see what happens here.
It was pretty fast. We moved.
It was
quick down
faster.
there.
I thought it was going to be 2 hours, and you were there in like not even an hour and a half. Like it was like
It was
an
like
hour
and
20
minutes. Yeah, 15
Whoa.
minutes.
Something like
That's
that. Yeah,
faster
they
than
were
I
fast.
thought.
Yeah, I remember the whole time being like, Jacob, you're back, dude. Like, and especially those first like 3 or 4 miles, because I kept telling you, like, I was like, dude, faith is like it says in our scriptures, the scriptures we believe in. It's like faith without works is dead, and I just kept saying, like, you have to show, like, you have faith in this. Like, you've got to put forth the work. And I'm like, how bad do you want this? Like, it always comes back to that. Every anything you want in life, how bad do you want it? Are you willing to put the work in to make it happen? And I just kept thinking, like, if you want this, you've got to show it. Like, it's not just going to happen because you get lucky. And it was cool to see you just push. You were, like, going down this dirt. And again, it was a Jeep road, right? And it's pretty well maintained, but, like, you're pushing. And I kept looking at you. I'm like, dude, we're doing like 12s and 13s. And you're just like, I'm feeling good, but you're like, I'm not out of the woods yet. And I'm like, hey, dude, like keep pushing. And it was just cool to see like you hit that section pretty good. And we just kept rolling. But not to go back too far, but I told everyone I'd bring back the ammonium story when we got to the Dead Man. So I just got to finish that story.
Okay.
So we're at Dead Man at the peak, right? And you're like, hey, and you're like, my stomach's acting a little bit weird, but I've been taking ammonium. And I'm like, okay, dude, you're not taking ammonium. It's Imodium. And you're like, you kind of just stared at me with this like look through me, like I wasn't there. And I was like, it's Imodium. I was like, ammonium is a cleaning solution that my dad used to have me clean everything with. And it like clears your nose out. Like I'm like, it's not ammonium,
You're
dude.
just
It's not ammonium.
downing ammonia.
Anyways, it just had me laughing. And I was like, all right, good laugh, dude. Let's get down this mountain. Anyways, but I felt bad because we missed that part of the story. But I'm like, I got to bring it back. But
I can
it
just
was
see
really.
that look on your face.
I think I
Yeah.
actually felt pissed at you at that point for telling me that. I'm like, I don't care, man. I don't care if
like,
it's
but you-
ammonium. I don't care if it's Imodium. What
You
the
know what I
fetch is the
mean.
difference? It's one letter.
Because I was like, dude, if you tell people that you've been taking ammonium, it's gonna look really bad. I was like, you can't say that because anyone that knows what it is, it's not something you take. You don't eat that stuff. And I'm like, you gotta stop saying it, dude. I'm like, you gotta just stop. But anyways, it had me laughing. I was like, oh, he's gotta stop saying that. But
Eat that stuff, dude.
yeah, but you know what? Just again, not to go back too far, but dude, what you did going down Dead Man, like that 3,000-foot drop was amazing. Like it was super technical. Like I could not keep up, and I remember saying to you, I was like, you know, any point in this race, you can leave me, and I have no problem with that. I'll catch you on the flats or on the gradual downhills or the climbs. But I'm like, extreme downhill, and you just flew, like you crushed it. It was really cool to see. We caught up, we got there. It was awesome to be there for the blessing. It was really cool. I felt like Mark was very inspired with what he said at that. And dude, you just flew down that dirt path to whatever that was, mile 84, 85, 86,
85
whatever it was.
probably.
Yeah. Because I felt like I ended a little higher than 40 miles on my tracker. But it was really cool. I remember thinking to myself, like, you know, I know you're not in a good place, but I think you can do it. And I remember you being like, I don't know when we got to the aid station. So,
Yeah.
but I felt like you were at a good place at that point.
Yeah, where Mark was stepping in there, and now it's like afternoon, early afternoon-ish, something like that. And so we get to Mark's aid station there at Grizzly Basin. Yeah, this is like mile 86, I think. Technically on my watch.
Yeah.
Mile 86 if the race was 108 miles. So that would have been 86. So
Well, and I think it's important to know that this was the Grizzly Basin aid station, and this was really the point of no return.
yes.
Like we had 22 miles left, 6,000 feet, and the aid station that was after mile 12.
Only one aid station.
One aid station. It was a great aid station. We'll get to that, but it wasn't one that you dropped at. Like it was just so remote. Like it
No
was
crew.
2.5. Yeah. So they really do not want anyone to drop at that because it takes like 2.5 hours to drive around the range to get back to the start line, or
Yeah.
the finish line. So it was just like, we knew that once we set out, like this was it. Like once we
Yeah.
set out, we're not stopping until we're done.
And so the plan, like, that road section actually beat me up more than I thought it would because there was cars driving by, kicking dust up in your
The
face.
dust was horrible. Yeah.
Yeah, the dust was pretty dang bad, and I was breathing it all in, and like I started feeling like my throat was like irritated from the dust, and anyways, but so I was feeling kind of low when I got to the aid station, but I basically just grabbed a few popsicles, topped off my fluids, grabbed a couple gels, and was like, well, I guess we're going, like, I guess we're doing this. And we were going to like sleep under a tree. The plan was to I thought, okay, maybe a nap will help me. And so Mark and I set off together there for the final 22. And the plan was, let's find a good shady spot, take a nap, and then we'll finish this thing off. And Mark starts as we start setting off, Marc starts telling me, like, going back to the blessing about like his feelings that he had during that blessing and how he really felt like I was gonna finish this and that like my health was gonna be just fine. And he starts telling me the feelings he had, and it really like gave me more faith in everything. And I was like, okay. And I was like, Marc, if you felt that, if I felt what I felt, like, let's do this. And I was like, I don't need a nap. I'm gonna show my faith. I don't need a nap. And I was like, let's go. And so we set off, Marc, and we get like a couple miles in, and I don't know, how are you feeling as we set off, Marc?
No, I mean, I was feeling great. I was a little bit worried about you in the beginning, but then, then you set in a pretty good pace. And I mean, there were several times there where I was worried about keeping up with you, honestly.
Yeah.
And I'm like, good heavens, you've gone 85 plus miles already. And I'm just starting out to do 22. And it's like, I was worried about keeping up with you. So you'd have some of your, zest back, I guess.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it was
I got
great.
some zest back. Yeah.
And it was, it kind of came in waves
It
throughout there. It came and went.
Yeah.
But I thought what was interesting is we get about 4 miles up, and we come across to 2 runners that are coming back. Remember those guys?
Yeah.
And these were guys that I can't remember the name, John or something or other. Man, we stopped talking to them for a minute, and this guy's like, yeah, it's just funny because they're like, we're doing everything we can to just keep you moving forward. And he comes down and he says, I've done 40 ultras, and this is the first DNF I've ever taken. It's like, I can't make it. And he's like, we're turning around and going back to Grizzly, and we're dropping, and this guy's,
Yeah.
and we're like, it's like, we don't need to hear those kind of stories right now, but we pushed him well.
Yeah. And he starts saying like how he was having similar symptoms to me. Honestly, he was like having dizziness. He's like, I've been trying to nap and this, and nothing's making me better. He was honestly, he might have had some altitude.
Did that affect you mentally?
Honestly, there was a moment there where I'm like, oh shoot, but then I'm like, well, I'm not him. I'm finishing.
No,
this.
exactly. And I think after they left, I'm like, you ain't quitting. Like, we're going.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not you.
Yeah, that's what I like. That's not me. And this section, it was a 12-mile section with 3,000 feet of vert. This was the worst. I don't know. There was definitely tough.
There was a lot of bad.
There was a lot of bad stuff, but this section, as we talked about it afterwards, the trail starts off good, and then it just really starts to fade, and then it's like what Marc said it perfectly. It was like you were trying to get out of an escape room with this section, like, because you would do a climb on this weird trail that's barely a trail, and then all of a sudden you'd like get up to this false peak. It would level out, and you're like looking around, you're like, where am I? And then like, how am I going to get out? It's like you hit this tier and you're like, I don't even see a way out of this tier. But then you just follow the flags, and eventually all of a sudden you climb up another obscure way out of that tier. And and then you get up.
It kept dropping too. Like it wasn't like you would go up and then you would drop down again, and then you go up a little higher and then drop down, like a roller coaster.
It was mean. It's a mean section.
Yeah. Beautiful, but it was just like, I think you start to doubt that you're ever going to get to the top of this thing.
Yeah.
The fact that someone saw this terrain and was like, I'm going to put a race here.
Yeah.
It's just nuts.
It was crazy.
That deep into a race to be on those kind of trails in a 12-mile section that long.
Yeah, that's mean, man.
It took us over 5 hours to do that section, right?
Yeah.
Marc?
What was cool, what got us out of the escape room was actually there was another runner that caught up to us from Washington, and she was gradually
she was kicking butt on the climb. Yeah.
And so she finally caught up to us while we were kind of catching our breath to do one of the climbs, and got talking, and we're like, Jacob's like, I'm gonna let you go ahead, and we'll kind of see if we can latch on to some of your energy. And I was amazed at how that worked. Like, he really kept up. with her like the whole time. Like
And she got me through the rest of that climb.
yeah,
I just
I
told
dropped back to
myself
take
I'm
some
not
pictures.
losing her.
I got kind of behind on a few of those. I was starting to take a few pictures and stuff, but they just kept going, and I had to really hustle to catch up with them later on. But I thought that was interesting how you can find somebody, and they're doing nothing but just going a few steps before you, and you can just kind of latch on and take that energy. And this was an interesting race because in the rules they specified that the pacers weren't to lead, which I thought was interesting because a lot of times the pacers, you get a pacer that goes a few steps before you, they can kind of pull you along. But this one, the rules actually said that the runner is supposed to lead, and so we kind of figured, well, this is another runner, so we're gonna latch onto the runner and won't break any rules. But it was just interesting that you can just draw on that energy from somebody else.
Yeah.
That was
And
pretty cool.
she got me through the climb, and I ran out of water. I don't know. Nutrition was starting to go out the window at this
Always
point.
does at the end of a race.
Yeah, it was tough to stay up on that. It was tough to stay up on hydration because of how long the sections were in between aid stations. Anyways, we ended up passing that girl. Her name was Megan, and we ended up passing her on the downhill. And
Jacob really caught a wind on some of this, and a lot of it was due to anger. Like I was kind of joking with him. I said, I feel like the Emperor from Star Wars. I'm like, use your hate, use your anger. And so he just like, oh man, and he just starts running, and like literally, I lost him for a while. Like he just booked it.
The trail finally leveled out.
I faced you before, and you have these spurts where you're just like, where did that come from? I have no idea where you found that.
I do go through these.
It was pure hate.
I clocked a 10-minute mile.
Dang,
on a downhill.
I just want to point out that's a really good strategy to, use your hate, use the anger, like filter
like I was trying to convert him to the dark side.
We were talking about God, and then I'm using
I know,
hate
right?
and anger.
But he used that motion favorably, right?
Dude, honestly, that section, if like I knew what I was getting into, I don't know if I would have gone out. Like, Mark, that section was terrible.
Going and going.
It felt never ending. Yes. It felt like I was just in the abyss of this mountain that would never let up.
I felt the same thing, and I had just started. Like I can't even imagine what you were feeling after 90.
I'm so glad I did not know what that section would be like, because I felt like I would never get to that aid station. But eventually we did get there, and it's like coming into evening time now. Anyways, we get to that aid station. It's about a mile out and back to the aid station. And I'm pissed. I'm ticked off at the mountain at this, like really just ticked at I'm like, that section was not safe. Like it just didn't even feel safe.
So you're mad at the mountain, not the race director?
Both. I'm mad at the race director at this point. Like I'm mad at my body. I'm really feel frustrated at my body because I just
even though your body had taken you that.
Yes, I'm at mile 98 at this point, coming to that aid station.
10 miles to go. 10 miles to go, and another 3,000 feet.
And but I'd already told myself I am taking my time at this aid station. Because it was so much to get to that aid station, I'm like, I don't even care how long I'm there. I don't, because
it was a great aid station too. Like they were fantastic there.
And so I hung out there. I told them all I was retiring from ultra running and that I was just going to run 2 miles down the road, clock over to 100, text Ryan to come pick me up over there. And of course,
I wouldn't have.
I knew I was finishing, but I was just I was just in an ornery mood about it all. I was in an ornery mood about it all. And, anyways,
it was a struggle to get you out of that aid station. Because I knew you were kind of playing over in your mind, like there's a road here, like someone's gonna pick me up. Like you were thinking that, and I remember asking you, you're just when we came into there, you're just like, I hate this race, I just hate this mountain. And I'm like, yeah, like you really hate it. Do you know what you need to do? It's like, we need to go 10 miles over that mountain and finish it. I said, because if you quit 10 miles before the end, one day, you may not think you will, but one day you're going to want to do this again. So I said, you want to be done with this, it's 10 miles away, and you have to think about it again, ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I even
got us out of the chair, you know.
the assistant race director was there. She was awesome. I think her name was
Yeah.
Alicia. I can't quite remember,
I
but
can't remember too, but yeah, but they weren't going to let you drop there either.
yeah, no, they don't let you drop there, and I knew they wouldn't let me. And I told her, I was like, that last section is straight up mean. I was like, mean. And she looked at me and she's like, I agree with you. She's like, that last section is a very mean thing to put in near the end of the 100, you know? And she starts telling me it's not about the 100-mile mark. She's like, this is a pilgrimage. It's made to change you. It's not just a race. Like, you know, it's supposed to be mean. It's supposed to be life-changing, you know? It's supposed to push you. But anyways, we eventually got out of there and, you know, got everything put together and made my way out. And I thought I left my charger at the aid station, so I sent.
You found it eventually?
Yes, it was just in a different part of my pack.
Oh, good. Yeah. You made me run back to look for it.
I made Mark run back. But then, I just kept walking up the mountain. I know, like, I'm going up to my last climb, and like Mark wasn't coming, and I'm like, oh, geez. And so eventually I'm like, you know, it's dark is starting to set, and I'm like, well, I'm just gonna sit here and wait for Mark. Like, I don't want to be walking up here alone in the dark. And as I'm sitting here, the sun's setting. This is where like the hallucinations start,
Yes.
and
I'm excited for this.
and I'm sitting there and I see a cartoon man like peeking out from behind the tree.
What does a cartoon man
Big
look like?
round face, big eyes, like a mascot. Honestly,
You sure that wasn't me?
he looks like a mascot. And then and then like I see a bunker that looks like it's in the shape of the Mandalorian's helmet, but it looks like a bunker, like where people like army guys are, you know, shooting
like
out of.
a really weird.
I'm sure glad I
tree.
found you shortly after this.
Yeah, I think I told you, Mark, right? When you came up, I'm like, I see a cartoon man over there.
Yep, I remember the cartoon man.
Yeah,
And Dad, you're like, and he's losing it.
it's like I know I'm hallucinating. I know that's not real, but it's like that looks
weird,
so real.
It's that weird time of the night when it's just dusk and it's like you can't see really well anyway, and all the shadows are all funky and everything, and you just almost need a headline, but you don't. I mean, there's a couple. I thought I saw a bear out there too right at that time after I met you.
I thought I saw a bear too. One of the trees looked like a bear to me. Yeah.
Are you guys sure you didn't actually see a bear?
You never know up there. But I don't think so.
Yeah. And anyways, we start this climb up, and it starts as a gradual climb, and then all of a sudden you hit these steep.
Oh, they were so terrible.
It's just it's another, like, I don't know, it was not quite 3,000 feet, just under 3,000 foot climb. But it was just a trudge.
And that was dark. All you can see is just where your headlights shining. It was dusty, and I remember every turn, they call them switchbacks, right? I mean, technically that's what they are. But you would turn and you would just I remember just having a sign, just like, oh, like you turn and just seeing where it was going. You're like, there's another one of these, you know. And then you turn and then it goes up again and again, and it's just like, and it was almost like scrambling. Like you couldn't even. I almost need hands and feet. Like without trekking, I became a true believer in trekking poles on this run, and I already bought me some new trekking poles because the ones I had were destroyed.
Oh my
I couldn't even pull them apart after this race. They were bent. They were bent. Yeah, and one of the tips had broken off. Like this race is no joke. Like this was the roughest train I've ever seen in my experience. So
it was. And it got to the point where it was like I was counting my steps as we went up this climb, and it was like, when I reach 50 steps, I'm gonna stop, because I literally like I need to catch my breath. Like the whole body was so fatigued. I actually laid down and tried to nap again. Same thing happened. Nah, I laid down for like a minute. Nothing was happening. I'm like, okay, we're going. Like body wasn't calming down, and I just was so done with the mountain at this point, and just wanted off of it, and just so fatigued. That the last like 300 feet up that climb, I kept looking at my watch, because it gave me the ascent too, like what ascent I had left, and I knew this was the final climb, and it was like the scent like trickled down so slow. So it felt like I'm like, I have gone way more than 50 feet up. Like, are you kidding me?
I feel like that's one con of having
Yeah.
the map on your
Yeah.
watch. When you're,
Yeah,
it's
almost
kind of like
to
looking at
look at it, but
the.
you're like, I just want to get there.
It
you
was
know?
It's
just
like when you're on the treadmill and you're watching the
Oh, yes.
time or the
soul
miles. You know.
sucking. Yeah, and just yeah. Anyways, I mean, I don't know, Mark. You can share what you want, but we finally.
Well, yeah. So we got up there, just, and you already kind of knew this, but this was my first 20 miles into this thing, and it's like you get to the top and you think, oh, good, we're at the top. But it's not good, because then you turn and you go straight down, and you're going down these crazy trails that are basically just washes with rocks and everything
And
in
then it's
them.
even
And that's like,
worse than the
and you're
climb.
almost not going any faster on the downs than the up, because you can't. It's pitch black, and so this is where you started to get mad, and you were just yelling at the mountain going down this side.
What was he saying?
Oh, I hate this man. He was just basically saying, "Oh, Sheriff, put trails here with rocks on them, and rock slides, and you're trying to kill us, and I hate this mountain." I mean, he got up a little ahead. I just kind of let him rant. That's kind of what Jacob does. I paced him before. You just kind of get it out, right? You just got to get it out, and that's how we cope with it. So he
Was
just
he
yelled at the mountain
swearing?
for a while.
Using choice words?
No, I don't think there were too many colorful metaphors there.
Probably
There
was
was just a lot of it.
couple.
Yeah.
Well, at their most raw state,
That's
form
one of
when
the
you're on these
beauties of
runs.
ultra running. Yeah.
But we also get closer to people on these experiences than any other time, because
Yeah.
you're seeing, it really is a team effort on these runs. You think about the people at the aid stations and your pacers and stuff. Like, this isn't something that's done on your own. Yeah, you have to take the steps, right? But that's what really impressed me about my run last year, and that's why I wanted to. This year was my year to help and to try to pace and help and give back, because there's a lot of help that's involved in getting people across those finish lines. But this descent was really cool. We had some really interesting things happen on these last few miles of the race. I don't know if you wanted to talk about some of that.
Share it, Mark. I want to hear it from you.
Well, so we wound our way down into this bowl, and it took us a while. And I think we got to where we were about, I would say about 4 to 5 miles from the finish.
Yeah.
And we must have missed a marker somewhere, because we kind of both just stopped, and we were just standing in these trees, and it's like the trail had just kind of vanished, and we were just like, I think we missed something. And so we pull out our GPS watches, and we're looking around a little bit, and again, this is pitch black. All you got is your headlight. And as we're kind of trying to orient ourselves, we heard a little chirp sound come from the darkness, and I'm like, Jake, did you hear that? And I listened again, and then we heard it again, and then a moment later it was a third time, but it was even closer, and we determined that we believed that it was a mountain lion doing one of those little chirp sounds. And if you don't believe me that they chirp, go to YouTube and look it up. They sound just like a little bird, and there wasn't anything active. Like, this was about 1:30 in the morning now, 1 o'clock in the morning, something like that. And so we got oriented and we got walking, but for like the next 30 minutes, I was like looking back, just making sure I didn't see those glowing eyes in the darkness. That was kind of intense. And that might be your only chance against seeing something like that, is at night, because you can see their eyes. If it was during the day, you'd never see them. But that was a little bit eerie. Luckily, we never saw anything.
Yeah.
And but I know I wasn't just hearing things, because we both heard it, and I think that's what it was. So that was a little bit crazy. So then we kind of get oriented. We're back on the trail, and then it wasn't maybe a half mile later, that we see some lights coming up the trail toward us, and we're like, well, who in the heck would be coming up this thing at this time of night? And so we were just befuddled, I mean, we were pretty tired and just wanted to be done with this thing. And so anyway, we come into a couple of other runners. It was a husband and wife that they'd been ahead of us for a good, most of the race, all of the race, really.
Yeah, I'd never even seen that runner before.
No,
That was the first time I laid eyes
I seen
on
him I seen him at the aid station.
Okay.
I think she picked up her husband at the Grays River.
Okay.
I remember seeing her there. But anyway, she comes walking up. She's like, "Do you guys have the map on your watch or on your phone?" She says, "We have lost the trail, and we've been looking for an hour trying to find the trail." And we were just like, oh man, really? And so we walked down the trail with them, and sure enough, it just ended at the water. And we spent about 10, 12 minutes, something like that, trying to
Yeah.
find it. We couldn't find it either. And so most we can figure is that we had missed some kind of a higher trail cutoff
Crossing,
up
because you
above.
had to, we ended up finding it, crossed the stream, went another like 10, 20 yards past the stream, and all of a sudden the trail was right there going parallel
Right.
with the
But,
stream.
so it took us about 20 minutes or so to kind of help them and kind of get them oriented. But he was like a zombie. Like he wasn't even like talking. He was just kind of standing there. His wife was trying to find the trail, and then she would like, come on, this is the way. But he was rough. Like you could, I mean, he was very sleep deprived, like everybody is at this point. This was, like I said,
We're
I don't know
over
how many
40 hours in.
40
Yeah.
hours into this thing. But anyway,
Yeah.
but what was interesting is we got him situated, and she didn't want us to go on ahead. But the interesting thing happened here, and this was another little kind of a little mini miracle in my opinion. Like we were dragging at this point, like you were yelling at the mountain, we were hurting, we were
Going very slow. Yeah.
but we spent that 20 minutes to help these folks, and all of a sudden we kind of caught a second wind or whatever. You'd be like your 80th wind or something like that. I don't know what it was.
Yeah, we
But
probably had like a 5K left. Yeah.
yeah, about 3 miles. But the thing is we ran it like the rest of the way. Like after we stopped to help, it was like a recharge, and I just thought it was a really neat little example of how when we stop to help somebody, when we serve somebody, it kind of gets us out of our own
Yeah.
head for a moment and lets us reset. And we felt that reset because we doubled our pace easily for the
Yeah.
whole rest of the race, all the way in.
Yeah.
And we never actually saw that couple again. They finished after us, but we really passed them. And there was while we were helping them, we saw some other headlights coming down, and so we almost got passed by two more. And we never saw them again either. Like it was just crazy how that little moment of taking that time helped us surge at the end. And so that was kind of an interesting experience. But they were pretty grateful, and I was grateful we had the maps, because it would have been tough to find if you didn't have the maps.
Yeah, because but even like, yeah, the trail wasn't even technically where the GPX said the trail was. So
No, it was
there was a
weird
lot
spot.
of that
It
with
was a
this
weird
area. But
So
but yeah, like Mark said, that was finally the reset that I kept looking for, maybe through naps or whatever. But like, it's funny because I was all woe is me, up to that point at that section. I was, just caught up in my head. Woe is me. This sucks. This is terrible. I am at mile 104 point whatever. I'm still getting beat
of
up
a
out here.
100-mile race, it's 4 miles over. It's a 100-mile race. Why am I at 104?
And yeah, like helping them, like we came across them and you could tell they were in distress, and he even got me all of a sudden like, whoa, like, geez, we gotta help these people out, and yeah, it got me out of my head. And yeah, and then we ended up passing them, and she's like, oh, please don't leave me. And we're like, no, I think it was really straightforward. Yeah, the trail was really good too. And
well, great. This is a relative term, but it was great based on what we've just come down.
Yeah. We're like, it's really, simple from here. And anyways, so from there on, we just kind of, we did like 15-ish minute miles down the mountain, and finally came into the finish. Well,
our headlights were all burning out at that point. And, and we were like 2 miles from the finish. I'm like, I ain't going to dig around for a battery. So I literally, those headlights that go into the power saver mode. And so it flashed at me and the pencils, and all of a sudden it goes to that really dim light. It's your power saver for 2 hours. So I was running on that. I could barely see. So I pulled out my cell phone and turned it on, and I pulled my cell phone between the two lights. I'm like, I ain't stopping for the battery now.
Yeah.
And so I ran behind you with my power saver and my, and my cell phone, trying to see in the darkness.
Mark kind of hung back for that last mile and just let me,
let you enjoy it. Enjoy a moment.
Let me have my time, there as I finish things off. And eventually, finally, in the never-ending 100-mile race, saw the lights through the finish. And
what time is it?
It's just right about 2 a.m.
2 o'clock, yeah.
Yep, and came in, I think, just a few minutes after 2 a.m. And got a fist pump from the race director. There wasn't any festivities going on. There was a fire with a few people sitting around the fire. sat there for a few minutes. Ryan was there, just basically felt grateful to be done, felt relieved to be done, and took a few pictures, and we took off.
That was it.
Yeah.
And just in case people don't know, this race, they ask you to carry your buckle the whole time. So in addition to all of his 4 liters of water and all the bear spray and all the other stuff, raincoats and pants and everything they want you to take, he was carrying his buckle. And it's like
So cool.
and so if you don't finish it, you got to give it back. And it was like, there's no way you're giving that thing back. And you carried it for 108 miles. It's yours.
Can you
So that
imagine
was
having
awesome.
to give that back if you did drop?
Yeah.
So,
That's
and it's a cool
his
buckle.
reasoning
Awesome.
to discourage dropping.
I think it doubles as an emergency signal mirror too. It's a pretty big buckle. You could signal an aircraft.
It's really shiny. But it's a cool buckle. It's got the Wyoming style on it, and I love it because it's a Wyoming race, and it was me becoming a Wyoming and earning. In Wyoming you earn belt buckles by doing rodeo. But you can also earn a
different kind.
You can also earn a belt buckle by running 100 miles in Wyoming. So
I got to share just my little portion of this story. So, So when you took off with Dad, Ryan, at some point, you went down into town, so you had some reception, and you called me and gave me an update, and he told me. Oh, he was like, you should come to the finish line, and unfortunately we just couldn't make it work. But he was saying, he was like, you need to be there because Jacob shouldn't be finishing this race. Like it literally is a miracle that he's finishing this. And he told me about your altitude sickness, and he was like, you said that multiple times, Ryan. You're like, he shouldn't be finishing this.
Yep.
Like it literally is a miracle that you finished. But that, I just thought that was crazy that Ryan was like, he shouldn't finish this. Anyways, it's just crazy.
And one last thing that they gave me the courage to keep going on is you actually, just before I set out for that final section with Mark, I get a little buzz on my satellite tracker.
I finally figured out how to send messages to it.
Yes. And because that was one of my concerns, was like, I don't want to put my family in jeopardy by trying to, because I got this, and with like Mount Everest, they call it summit fever. The people who die up on the mountain, because they have to get to the summit, they put their life in jeopardy. I've watched way too many Mount Everest documentaries this year.
There's crazy, man.
But I'm like, I don't want to have summit fever per se for a finish line.
Right.
That's not worth it. And I all of a sudden got a text from you, and you're like, you got this, babe. This is it. This is when finishers are made. Like, you can finish this. And getting that text from you out of the blue, because I didn't think I'd get anything from you the whole race. I was like, that was another miracle. I'm like, Melody, you knowing to text me at that moment, at that time, right after the blessing. I'm like, okay, yeah, this is happening.
It's kind of interesting because I just kind of accepted, like, okay, we can't communicate. I was just waiting for messages to come in from Ryan. And at that moment, I just really felt this, like, I got to figure this out. Like, I got to send Jacob a message. And it took me a little bit, but I figured it out. But...
Yeah. I was like, if my wife's feeling good about me and encouraging me, I can do this. Anyways, so it's been way too long, way too late. It's been a long podcast.
There was a lot to cover here. Yeah. There were some really neat moments. It was
it was a log race, right?
Great story of just faith and determination, and I don't think we wouldn't have let you finish if you hadn't snapped out of it there. Like, I mean, it really was an amazing transformation that was miraculous. And those last 20 miles, a 20-mile miracle, that was really amazing to be there for that. So I'm glad I could be there for that.
Yeah. And I don't know if I would have finished had I been solo, because I don't know if I would have trusted myself out there alone, on those trails.
It always takes a team.
And so, like, I know it was a sacrifice. Like, it's a longer drive, for this race. It wasn't just in our backyards like we're used to. And so it was a sacrifice for everyone who was involved to be out there and be involved, but I'm grateful for a good team and good friends and good family. And like with Ryan, like first time we ever ran together was when you came and paced me at Scout, and I felt like we became brothers that night, and we've been running together ever since. And I felt like also feel a little emotional, but um people talk about like struggling with in-laws. It's the common thing with people, right? But Mark, like, ultra running has broken down a lot of walls for us, and it yeah. It
Feel the
just
same.
it's broken down a lot of walls as Mark's paced me on 3 of my 400s.
You were his
I
crew chief for
crewed
Pony
Mark at
last year.
Pony, and we've had many other
Well,
running.
Jacob and Ryan got me over that one. So
Yeah, ultra runnings brought me closer to my wife. And I mean, it's
running is literally the foundation of our relationship.
yeah. I feel like it's just getting out there, like like how I remember, like, when Ryan and I became friends, coming home and telling Melody, like, I feel so lucky I got such a good friend, so quickly. It's like being out there running together just broke all these walls down. And so I'm grateful for running, and I'm really grateful for hundreds, because that gets you in a raw spot around people, and
blessing.
And you really get to see each other inside what's in there, and endure some hard things together. It's not easy to pace. It's not easy to crew. And anyways, it was
yeah, we're blessed that we get to do this. Not everyone gets to do this.
Yeah. That's what keeps me coming back to the 100-mile distances. And I know, Mark, you, Melody, and Ryan feel the same. The relationships that form when you're out there, and the memories that are made, are eternal. I believe those things will take to the next life with us. So that's why we're here on Earth, is to push ourselves and build relationships with each other and help one another.
Amen.
Yep. I don't think you can get through that without experiencing some pretty amazing things, and you learn a lot about yourself. So it's awesome. I never would have dreamed I would have ever even thought about doing it, let alone doing it. So it's great. And this was a tough race. So I'm glad I'm honored I was able to be there with it. To see you and pull you across that finish line, because I know you've done the same for me and will continue to do that. So it's awesome time. Never forget it.
So I'm going to take a step out of the host book for a second. So Jacob, what's next? What are we going to do next?
Good question.
Honestly, I don't know. To be straight up, Ryan asked me this on our drive home, and I don't know. I think honestly, I don't know. There's
you have a handful of people you're pacing and helping.
Yeah,
the rest of the year.
I don't know. I have some things planned in my personal life for next year that I probably not gonna say right now.
Stay tuned.
Yeah. So I think I have to address those personal things.
He still is processing this race.
Yeah. And then we'll see how things, like, I'll probably have a better idea come here at the end of the year what my running plans might be for next year. But
I guess we'll let you off the hook with that response. If it was my podcast, you wouldn't get off the hook with that. So, but we'll let you off this time. So, no, that's awesome, Jacob. No, that's cool. I get it, and you got a lot going on, so I respect that for sure.
Yeah. So it was great. It was a good experience.
Yeah.
So honestly, I know, Mark, I was swearing at that mountain and telling it that I hated it. But looking back, I'm like, wow, what a memory, what a memory.
Type 2 fun. Type 2
what
fun.
a memory. I don't think I'll be going back for another finish.
Wait, what about you guys, Ryan or Dad? Would you guys ever do that race after pacing and crewing?
No, I don't think I would, having done the little piece that I did. I've seen enough of it personally. I've got other things I'll do first.
There you go. What about you, Ryan?
I'll definitely do it one day.
Really?
There you go.
All
What?
Let me know.
Really?
I'm pretty good. I know
What?
the
I
track
was
22
not
miles pretty
expecting
well.
that.
That is a
Was not expecting that.
that's just the
answer.
competitive side coming out.
I
because
can
he
see
wants to
that,
beat
that
my time.
competitive look in your eye.
I can
This-
guarantee I'll beat 43 hours.
Okay, bring it on. Bring it on.
Okay, then Jacob's gonna beat your Wasatch time.
Yeah, I'll be
Oh,
beating 35, 40, whatever it is. I can beat that at
okay,
Wasatch.
that's the
I
next
love
it.
next
Oh, boy.
year.
Gloves are
Ryan
off
does
now.
Wyoming. Jacob does Wasatch.
No,
There it is.
I just saw enough of it that I was like, this would be a fun race to do one day. So I don't know when it'll happen, but it'll happen.
You got to
I thought it
do
looked fun.
White Pine first, Ryan.
That's a
You,
great
you
prep.
can't argue.
It's a great preparation
Can't argue
race
that.
for Wyoming.
Happy to do the White Pine up in Cache County for sure. I'll do
That-
that one for sure.
That one's not going to prep you like Two Willow White Pine will prep you for that race.
I love it. I love it.
Anyways,
One day.
let's wrap this up. It's too late. We've kept our guests
Yeah.
way past their bedtime.
This is for
Glad to do it. It was worthwhile.
Yeah. For those of you who are listening, hopefully you were listening to this on a long run and this helped you get through.
But
But
last thing I
anyways,
want to say, I said a lot of hate on the course or whatever, but
we all know that you will.
but the course director, great guy. He
I
He's
agree.
like a
He's a good guy.
he was like I said, he gave me that water bottle. I saw him out there bending over backwards to help runners.
And,
So-
and he stays to let anyone finish, even if it's beyond the time. I think there were a couple of runners that finished at 55 hours.
Yep,
wow.
there were runners I was at home,
They were
had already
unofficial,
taken
but they
2
finished.
naps, and there were still people out there trying to get their finish.
I can't imagine being in those mountains for 55 hours. That blows my mind like that. I mean, 40 hours is unbelievable. But what a cool guy to be able to just he wants to get as many people across the finish line as he can. So that's a great race director.
Yeah, he ended up having like an over 80% finish rate, which is extremely high. So,
Especially for 100 like that.
Yep.
That's
Yeah, that is high.
and that's
Wow.
his goal. He said his goal is to get every finisher across the finish line.
That's really cool.
That's his goal with the race. So
yeah. He's a cool guy.
every runner across the finish line, I guess, make every runner a finisher.
Yeah.
Anyways,
man.
all right. Well,
Well,
Anyway.
I'm proud of you, Jacob. Way to go.
Absolutely.
You're awesome.
Yeah, congrats.
Way to
man.
go.
Mel, that was our Wyoming Range 100 recap.
It was.
So
That is what just happened.
Great. great team
No,
effort to
yeah,
get the job
yeah.
done out
You
there.
know,
So
It really, I didn't talk much about kind of what was happening for me at home, but it was kind of I don't know if I want to go as far as say it was traumatic for me. it was hard being away from you, and it was stressful just not being able to talk to you barely, watching your tracker, refreshing it every 10 seconds, staying up till 2:00 in the morning. That was a crazy weekend, man.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a crazy weekend. Yeah,
Maybe we'll have to get you into counseling to get over that trauma.
probably.
So anyways, but thanks everyone for holding with us for all 2 hours of the race.
If you're doing your long run and you're still running, you're awesome. You can do this.
Way to go.
Finish strong, and it is what it is.
Yeah.
Suck it up.
Yeah, like those runners told
Yeah.
me. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Anyways, well, just a reminder, like you said earlier in the episode, Mel, that if you would like help on your 100-mile journey in trying to achieve that first 100-mile finish, we are here to help you. That is our whole mission, our whole goal. just like you have helped me to the finish of 400s. I know you've helped many other athletes finish their 100-mile races in their first. So you can apply on our website at trail100.com. Just click on the coaching tab and you'll see the spot where you can apply to see if we're a good match.
Reach out to us if you have any questions. If we feel like we're not a good match, then we'll direct you to
A coach who's
who
better.
we think is a good match for you.
Or better than
Better?
No, I'm not saying
Excuse me.
better for your
Man,
situation.
you and Ryan have attacked my coaching skills.
Anyways, well, and then last thing, if you have not reviewed our podcast, that helps us to be able to slide in the algorithms better. A review goes a long ways for us in getting this message out to more people. So we would greatly appreciate a review of the podcast as well on whatever platform you're listening at. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. And remember, if you want to run 100 miles, make it happen.
Running 100 miles seems impossible, and maybe even kind of crazy. And it is, but we believe in big crazy dreams. That's why we ran 100 miles. It was such a life-changing experience for us, we decided to devote this podcast to preparing and inspiring you to run your first ultra race.
Are you ready to feel the highest highs and the lowest lows? Are you ready to do what you once thought was impossible? Are you ready for your Trail to 100?